And I'm joined by James Bird and Tom Ward of Mason Hill. How you doing, boys?
Great, man. Thanks for having us on.
No, absolute pleasure. It's good to catch up and to meet yourself properly, Tom. I think it's fair to say after a period of uncertainty, I think that's the kindest way of putting it. Mason Hill are back, and it's great to have the band back. We'll talk about the tour and the singles in a bit because I'm sort of really excited by what's to come based on the two singles you released so far. But obviously, James, we were just speaking off before I pressed record there, and obviously the last time I saw yourself and the rest of the boys was when you guys headlined Just Push Play Festival. Shortly after that was when, Scott had his health issues, which led him to ultimately sort of like leaving and going off on his own path and that. And, at the time, I mean, I think I might be right in saying you even played a new song at Just Push Play, I seem to remember.
Possibly.
And I know we were
Yeah,
certainly like, you guys were certainly sort of going through stuff, backstage and that and showing me bits and pieces that you've been working on. So there'd obviously been a sort of a period of writing at that point. But
yeah, yeah.
before
Uh,
obviously Tom came to the fold and everything started picking up again, how close did it come? I know you said in the press release it came pretty close, but how close were the rest of the boys you and yourself to saying, right, no, I don't think this is going to work anymore?
in terms of me and the rest of the guys not continuing to look for a new singer,
Yeah.
yeah. How close? Well, it's hard to really say because it's like the quick snap answer is to just be like, oh, very close, but it wasn't really. We're at the I think what it was is we were just at the last point of having the energy to keep looking and
Mm.
auditioning. That's what it was. It wasn't that at any point, like no one at any point, I know from my perspective, and I never heard anyone else say it, that we'll just need to split up and
Mm.
just the very most that we ever said was like, we'll just pause the auditioning for now. And like my perspective at that point is that if we did pause the auditioning, would we have then came back to continue it? It would have just been like a permanent hiatus, maybe. But it's not that we would have ever split up from wanting to do it because we wanted to do it. It's just not easy to find someone to come
Mm.
and sing not only older songs, but then write new songs together. And then it's like gelling. Like, I mean, and to be honest, that's probably the hardest part. It's finding someone that can come in and write with you.
Yeah.
Many people could probably come in and sing, but the writing bit is the difficult bit. So yeah, it got, like I say, it was about 2 years or something. And yeah, it wasn't great. Throughout that though, I kept coming in the room, making up ideas or riffs and this and that. And me and the guys kept going to rehearsals. But yeah, we pretty much just shut off from any kind of like any events that we might be associated with or bands. We just kind of didn't really go out. I think partly due to maybe sadness in the element that we don't come back and then we're just kind of like floating about with people constantly asking us. And it was so hard to always just say the same thing. Oh, well, don't know, like we're trying. And then it was also a constant how's, the former singer all the time. And it's like, well, ask him because he's busy doing his own thing. So,
Yeah.
but we're the ones always having to like receive that. So yeah. Anyway, but with the negative out of the way, it's good that we did get Tom and we
Yeah,
gelled well
absolutely.
and we enjoyed making songs together. Like me and Tom kicking back, making some riffs and cool choruses or whatever it may be. And it works. And the one thing that Tom is proof of is that throughout our search, at no point did we ever want to do just a replica of what it was before,
Mm.
because there's just no point to that, in my
Oh
opinion. Then
no.
you're somewhat
No,
like a tribute act, you know what I mean? So yeah, Tom brought his own new style, and that completely changed the course in which I would approach a song as well musically, and that was exciting for me. So.
yeah. I mean, I guess on the flip side of that, when was the moment where you went, where you got fully excited again? Was it like an initial just speaking to Tom? Was it the first time you guys were writing together? When was that moment when we thought, no, the fire is back. There is something here again, like for both of you. Tom, like how was the sort of, coming into the fold, so to speak? How was that process for you in terms, finding the guys and whatnot?
Yeah, no, it was for me it was a great thing to just put myself through personally to kind of go through the audition process and flying up to Scotland and meeting a whole new group of people and new band and really trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. And
obviously we were rehearsing a lot of the stuff from album one, and throughout this process, Matt had been sending me some stuff that they'd been working on, some
Okay.
demos for the album two, and I'd kind of written some pieces over it and just sent it back to them. And I think that was quite a good indication for them of kind of like what could it be. And that process kind of happened over, I would say, over about over a year really to really get to where we are today with the sound. I think Remember was the first song that we kind of got to, and we were like, we've really cut. This is the sound. This is the feeling. Not necessarily just that sound, because I think out the whole album that we're about to release is a really nice blend of different sort of feels and vibes and stuff like that. But just from a writing perspective, me and James kind of we found, this harmonious, synergy. It became really organic and just like I would send something to James, he'd send something back. And yeah, yeah, Twisted and Remember we did almost a year and a half ago. But yeah, it's a sign of what's to come. I don't really know where I'm going with this train of thought, but yeah, no, basically it's really good. I think the boys probably had an idea of where they wanted to go with the band, and I was fully on board with kind of that where that was headed, and it's just naturally found this new sound that's really kind of defining the new chapter,
I
really.
think for me, I have always been a fan of different kinds of rock and metal,
Mm.
from the classics to the 90s, 80s, like everything that's out today. I like a bit of everything. And the one thing that was completely lacking in the early days of Mason Hill, and it's through no fault of mine, I'm just going to say it, I was just massively influenced at the time by the likes of your Blackstone Cherries and
Yeah.
bands like that. So I was often coming up with that kind of stuff. And then through being a fan of music and playing guitar for so long, you kind of evolve. And every time I sit down with a guitar, I would just keep coming up with like heavy riffs that couldn't really go anywhere at the
Yeah.
time, at least. Um, and then I don't know, I guess I tried to start finding a way that they could like infiltrate the kind of sound the band had at the time. And yeah, we obviously started putting some of them into like motion for what would have been album two with the former singer.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, proofs in the pudding, it wasn't gelling even at that time. And maybe we were forcing something that couldn't be. But then naturally everything led to what it led to. We've now ended up with Tom as the singer, and Tom's came in and re-engaged that
Mm.
the riffs that I was doing and am doing, and Tom has kind of like brought it to life, which is cool and exciting. So I know now that every time I come into the room and sit and do like a heavy riff or some kind of something that's a bit like, oh, that's pretty dark, I know Tom will make it correct and he'll like add the light to it as well and the catchiness and the hook. So that makes it fun for me again because I've been making songs up since I was about, I don't know, 15 or something, 16. I think that's when I really started to do it. Musically, that is, not really vocally. And yeah, I know that myself, I've evolved through the years, and I've just happened to meet Tom at the time where I've gone really heavy, and it's kind of working. So that just makes me excited again. It's like being married to one instrument for so long. It's maybe you lose a bit of excitement, but I've certainly got that back on a personal note.
Yeah.
You could
Sorry, I just
definitely.
hijacked that moment.
No, 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 it's good. But you could definitely, you've still got a lot of the key, like Mason Hill, and you can, it's hard
It's
hitting.
definitely in the DNA of it when you hear and remember, or you're hearing, everything else.
Yeah,
It's definitely the DNA is in there, but it is without doubt, um, gone heavier, gone darker. But similar to yourself, James, I like a lot of different things as well, So when, I've liked both chapters and really excited where this is going because it's a very easy. It would have been very easy for you guys to got a carbon copy, toured against the wall for the rest of the time and not moved on. And I think
yep.
there might have been a certain portion of people that might have been quite happy with you guys doing that. But do you really want to do that? Does an artist really want to stick with one album that they did? What we're now looking like 6 years ago now that Against the Wall
Yeah.
came out. Does an artist really want to stay there where they were, or do they want to move forward? Do they want to try different things? And I think some singers have come in and replaced original members and been of similar ilk. I mean, yeah, that happens. But equally, some people gone and turned the corner. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is the kind of Aussie Sabbath thing with Dio then coming in, or Van Halen taking on Sammy Hagar and taking a completely different turn. You know, it's that kind of thing. And I think you got to write what's right for you. It is ultimately, you know, when Remember came out, I was organizing the radio show for that week, and I was sorting out my playlist and everything, and Remember came into my inbox, you know, and I was like, oh sweet, that's come out now, so I'll give that a listen. And immediately it was like, this has just got to open the show, you know. I couldn't find a better song to open the radio show that week. It was like this, the guys are back, you know, it's got to be, but it's, you know, it's got heavier guitar, it's got a slightly more progressive tone to it. I felt it remind me of stuff like Tesseract and things like that in places with that more kind of cinematic, bigger sort of anthemic sound that you guys have
Yeah.
got, especially on these first two tracks. So no, with the album out in April, boys, it's an exciting time ahead.
Yeah, I think you know, the first two songs that, and the only two songs that people know of right now as well, they both have that kind of like hooky sort of poppy chorus going on, but they're both different kind of songs. One's slow and dark, one's like riffage and a bit upbeat. But we're just at a time where we have to have those out at the minute because we need to start showing people what we're all about now.
Yeah,
The
cool.
rest of the album is so like it's all similar, obviously, but there's like, you know, obviously those two songs that have solos. The majority of the rest of the album does. And then there's like, you know, we on the first album we had like a bit of a ballad song, and we like doing softer songs, but then we wanted to do it a bit different. So, for example, there's a song on the album that's I think it's about 6.5 minutes long or something, and it's just like a cool epic song that's just you follow it. You know, you could just sit
Nice.
back and close your eyes in darkness and listen to it, and it takes you on a journey. And these are like little things that we didn't necessarily um, have on the first album. Or maybe we did. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this album that will be coming out is balanced. You know, we've got a little bit of everything, and I think when you hear the full thing, you can tell it's the same set of guys, just with Tom leading the way on the vocals.
I think it's fair to say that, you know, this is definitely from an audience point of view, mate, it's a new chapter, you know what I mean? You know, it's a new chapter in terms of Tom coming into the fold. It's a new chapter in terms of sound. And yeah, that, you know, obviously loved the old sound. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had you headline my festival at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If I didn't like you, you wouldn't have been on the bill. I don't, it's as simple as that. So, it sounds crass, but that's the truth.
Yeah,
So obviously did love that album, but equally, you know, this has come on board. Both can be balanced. It's just a new era of, you know, like you say, a different sound. It's still got that DNA in it because, you know, at the end of the day, it's you, Mark, Matt, and Craig. It was sort of all still there. So you guys have obviously got that history and that DNA within it. But like you say, Tom seems to be coming in and offering another way of you guys to explore maybe other elements of all you're playing that wasn't quite going on with the first record. And then they only got to release one album with, you know, with the initial incantation. I mean, how many bands develop over their time from their first debut all the way through, you know, 6, 7 albums in? Who's to say you wouldn't have, you know, developed in there had that been, you know, everyone be open to it sort of thing. You know, that
Yeah.
could have
yeah,
happened with any band, you know.
Mm.
absolutely.
James was just talking about his influences there at the time, you know, when he first started writing with Blackstone Cherry and things like that. Tom, where do you come from in terms of your influence? You know, who's the bands that made you wanted to write and to pick up a mic and everything like that?
I mean, my influences sort of varied like a lot of different genres. As I've grown up, I'm drawn to melodies as a singer, like absolutely love. Um, we were just talking about, I was saying the first thing that kind of set me on my trajectory of rock was a cassette of All Killer No Filler that was given to me by one of my sister's boyfriends when I was like 8 or 9. I don't even know if it was on a cassette or if I just ripped it onto the recording it from the, but I listened to that thing back to back for years. And then, you know, like Nickelbacks and then more like the emo-y sort of scene, Bring Me the Horizon, stuff like that. But I used to play a lot of like acoustic sort of folk stuff. So
Okay.
City in Colour. So
Yeah.
the stuff from uh Alexis on Fire,
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And yeah, just a really wild mix. Like I like a bit of hip hop as well and sort of stuff like that. Um but
Funny because if we were sitting together back in the day when it was Sky TV and you go to like Kerrang and Scuzz,
I
As
would.
soon as all of your songs came on, I would have
You'd
skipped
be,
to the other channel.
yeah, you know what? And
Because
there is a definite mix on. I think all the boys like the real traditional sort of rock and metal like the Black Sabbaths and stuff and AC/DC and I still do. By the way, I'm not saying I don't,
Yeah,
but I think my introduction started with more of the modern those sort of modern bands like Coheed and Cambria,
yeah,
Papa Roach, In Me, loads of sort of stuff like that. So very different, very different. But again, we've come to this nice blend, I think, of influences where they kind of meet this middle ground. And I think you kind of hear stuff
oh,
like that on Twisted,
mm,
where you hear these mixes of influences and stuff. And some of the other songs that we've got on the album, um,
I think we've met at the right time because, as I said, I would have skipped a bunch of that stuff back in the day. But then that's because at the time I was obsessed with 80s metal and rock. And
yeah,
then I moved into the realms of more like your Lamb of God's Machine Head and all that stuff. Constantly listening to all of that stuff. Then I went into the old Blackstone Cherry kind of southern heavy American rock kind of thing. And then now, through the years, still enjoying all of that stuff, by the way. I find myself, many of the bands Tom listed there, I now like. And, a lot of these other bands coming out. I mean, take Download Festival, for example.
oh,
I
yeah,
know that's kind of like a grey area where a lot of long-time download goers don't like many of the bands playing. But I'm looking and I'm like, okay, fair. I've never heard of a bunch, but I'm finding out about them, listening to them on Spotify, and I'm going, oh, I quite like that.
yeah.
So I like a lot of the new modern bands too. So I think because of that, Tom is very into the same kind of stuff. I'm now into the same kind of stuff, but still taking back the older influences that we once had and meshing it together. I think, to be honest, in my opinion, I will say it. I think we are offering something a little bit different. We're not just like oh, they're a modern band now. I think we're not quite identical to what these other modern bands are like,
Yeah.
and but at the same time, we're nothing like what the bands are like from the scene we were in before. So I think like we're just offering something a little bit different, which I think is a good thing because you can't always just put on the same kind of band or eat the same dinner every night. So
No, well, this is it. I mean, like you say, when stuff is standing out from the crowd, it's going to sing louder. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's plenty of bands out there that I love, and I'm saying it as a man with an Aerosmith tattoo, so I'm not going to say it with like saying I don't like blues-based rock because I do. But and there's a lot of
mhm.
bands out there doing that, and some of them stand above the crowd because they're kind of next level of doing that, and some just bleed into each other. So I
Yeah,
think when you're offering something different. One, I don't think bands like that really age. I mean, you were talking about some of your influences there, Tom. Like I grew up. You made me feel fucking old, by the way, mate. When you said you had All Kill I Know Fully and you were 8, I was 14. But I grew up in that kind of new metal genre, and the bands that were very specific were definitely new metal and didn't sort of change their sound. You listen to it now and you go, yeah, that album came out in 2002. Whereas
yeah,
bands like
mm,
Papa Roach, who did evolve their sound and they did go start throwing it, started, Jacoby started singing more and he started rapping less and they started putting more melodies in, more straight up and more kind of hard rock with still that kind of punk rock edge to it. Their albums are so mixed that it kind of moved with the times. And I think for me, they wrote up all the better albums for it. Although you know, the inner 13-year-old me would be shouting, "No, best thing they do was Infest." But
yeah.
that's another
I'm
thing.
with that.
But when you were sending getting the demos sent across, Tom, what was the first one where you were like, "Okay, this is something that I can get my teeth into. This is something that I can write alongside with," or you had an idea that kind of just, the piece of the puzzle kind of line, so to speak.
So, funnily enough, it's actually a song that is now on the album. It was a demo called Tainted Wings, and they basically sent it over just the instrumental. Um, and it was one of the songs that they had been developing with Scott before. So yeah, sent over no vocals, and they didn't really ask me to, but I just kind of put a chorus on it because I could just kind of hear it instantly. Um, Sent it back over, and I think that was the one that Matt was like, this could work. This is kind of what we're looking for. I'm not saying it from my point of view. He said that. that is kind of that was the song that kind of clicked. But yeah, it's on the album, um, and that has very much stayed as is from an instrumental point of view. So that's quite a nice bridge between where the guys were when they were sort of writing album two pre me anyway,
Yeah.
and sort of where it is now, which is kind of it's a little bit heavy, a few tweaks here and there, um, but that's become a favorite within the band. I think we'd recorded it. That was one of the ones that I recorded with them back in 2024. That was kind of like the
Okay.
before they actually gave me the gig. It was like a bit of a test at the studio.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Yeah.
long answer. Sorry.
No, it's good, mate. I'd rather it's much better have a long answer than just yes. Otherwise, the interview gets really short.
But no, it's a cool track. I think we'd kind of put, we'd recorded it so long ago that it kind of put it to bed, and it's only how it's been sort of remastered recently, and it's kind of brought a new life to kind of get in line with the rest of the album, and it sounds great, and we're playing it on the tour as well, so you can
Yeah.
catch it there.
Absolutely. I personally absolutely hate playing it live.
Oh, go on, do
I,
tell. I don't know what.
have I never said this to you? I hate playing it. The reason I hate playing it is because I've been given, I don't know how this happens, but I'm doing the bit, sorry, I'm gonna hum this, Lee, and I know you don't know the song, but the bit that goes bow, wow,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
I'm doing that constantly, and that's all, and I have to really watch it, so I don't even get to riff much. I'm just bow, wow, wow, and then I'm doing all the bits on top
Oh,
throughout the entire song, and I'm just like, I actually said to Mark in rehearsal last week, sorry, Lee, as a
That's bad.
joke, hey, Mark, do you want to start doing this bit? I just think maybe the balance between that. To be fair, it probably would be better if he did it. But anyway, yeah, I just hate playing it. And I don't think of these things when coming up with this stuff. I don't think, someone needs to play that live and it might not be very fun. But yeah, it's a decent song. And it is weird that you're hearing you talk about it, Tom, because yeah, that the music was recorded really like such a long time ago. Like maybe just after COVID,
Okay.
I think. Yeah, and then because that's when we were also. It's funny that this was the song that we trialed with Tom, but we also trialed that song with Dan Weller to see if we worked well in terms of should we do like more songs together, or get him to record them, that is. So we flew Dan Weller up to Scotland after COVID to do that, and it just seems so long ago, and now it's on. Tom has written entire new lyrics and it's on the album. It's just strange
So,
from my
what was the
perspective.
recording period for the album then, mate? Like, how was the music all done and then Tom came along and put stuff on top of it, or did you go?
Nah, so it's kind of a little bit weird, right? It's not the way I think we'd want it to have been.
Mm,
Like going forward now, we're fully established with each other and we've got a little bit of a system going. It'll be different next time. But essentially, we had to scrap all the old songs that were supposed to be the new songs of album two.
mm.
For the most part, they were all binned. Maybe one or two weren't. And then we had to redo them with Tom. And then we went, I think it was like, I want to say February of last year. Is that right, Tom? Did we
Mm,
go and record Twisted?
I think it was yeah last year. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, February last year we recorded Twisted. Oh, it might have been the year before. Anyway, point is we've done it in bits, Lee.
Mm.
So it's not all been done in one go. It's been done in bits, and then we had to I think it was maybe 3 or 4 songs we recorded, and then we had to go away, and me and Tom were trying to get the rest of something. So it's not, as I say, the way we probably would have done it in the future, but we were constantly running against time because
Yeah.
there's fans waiting to see what we're doing, slowly starting to get impatient. There's us wanting to show what we've been doing and get gigs booked, but you can't get gigs booked unless venues know you've got a
Got something
singer
to
and a
promote and
sound
you're going to be
coming.
pushing out.
Exactly. Which is why it's kind of been put out in this weird way as well. But then there's all the bits in between. There's like doing a video, there's doing new photos, there's like, and all whilst me and Tom are continuing to write. So, for example, Remember was written about 2 weeks before this recording session we had booked in for months. And remember, but the song that me and Tom probably agree is like one of the ones that made us really gel as writers together was done in like 2 weeks before an idea came about, and we just went, oh, we need to do this. The same thing happened again when we went down in October last year to record what is now the rest of the album.
Nice.
We came up with another new idea. The song title is Without You, so look out for it when we have the album out. And that was about the same, maybe 2 weeks or so before. Me and Tom just batted it out really quick, and it was just flowing. So
It's a
yeah,
good track, fun track.
yeah,
So it's better than Remember, to be fair, just personally. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. I think some of the best songs just happen like that, really. And
yeah.
we take a lot of guidance from Dan Weller, just hearing these demos and being like, that's the one that needs to sort of go and stuff, which has been good. So
How
yeah.
much kind of, input did Dan have into the albums and the recording side of things? Do you think he could have, did he take on a more production? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, some producers will just record what you've got. They'll just go, right, that's okay. They'll capture the lightning in the bottle and that's their gig.
Yeah,
Others will have a more kind of, not, I don't want to say orchestrated approach, but they'll be like, I've been in shoe with people and they've been like, right, that's not quite right there, Lee, with the bass part.
yeah.
You might want to try this, or we thought about tweaking this, or that's not quite right, go away and come back. That kind of
Yeah,
thing.
he definitely wasn't just record and right, thanks guys, next one.
Yeah.
And that was also deliberate on our end with leaving about maybe I want to say the tracks as you hear them are probably like 80-85% as they were in demo form. But then that 15 to 20% that then you take left
Takes you to that.
unconfirmed Dan was able to offer, and not even just Dan. Dan was the man behind the desk, obviously, but there was times where we would stand in the room. Like I was there myself with Mark for the first week, I think, and me and Mark were saying, "Oh, what about this?"
Hmm.
For production stuff. And even Dan had a massive contribution to like the actual drum parts. So yeah, he's certainly not just sitting there. And Tom does the vocals himself with Dan, so I can't speak for that. Maybe
No,
Tom, you want to?
we have an absolute blast and just well, Dan's really really good to work with because he's super encouraging and yeah, we just have fun. Like I've kind of adapted a little bit from recording with him last year on how he works. So I kind of take a little bit of that into how I write now.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's been really, really helpful working with him. Um, and yeah, sometimes because on these records we've done drums last, which I know is kind of a little bit odd. But sometimes we change a lot of stuff rhythmically with the vocals, and that also will change how the drums will end up coming out with certain beats and just like kicks coming in just off beat and stuff.
I absolutely loved that way, by the way. It was
I think it
scary
works
to
really
me.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary at first when we first ever did that because I used to have this like during the first album, I was so everything has to be exactly as I did it, and this is it. No one can change it. That's it. But when that part fades and then you can like feel comfortable and confident in what you're gonna go and do, the idea of doing drums last was so strange.
Yeah, it is,
But it's
because normally it
proof in the
would be
pudding.
get your base level down and then build on top
But
of
the
it.
beauty of it is, though, the beauty, and it's up to other people how they want to do it, but I can't see a different way of doing it now because the beauty of it is you get to start putting it down. And if in that moment you're like, well, okay, there's nothing wrong with this, but just came up with this idea or heard something in my head or the producer heard something, you can easily add it in right there and then. Whereas if you're walking in to lay the rest, bass, guitars, vocals, all on top of drums that have just been recorded, probably for a lot of money,
Mm.
you're stuck. Like, are you really going to change it? Whereas, yeah, doing it back to front allows for improvements, enhancements, or just general like ideas you didn't think of before to
How
go
did
in.
Craig find that
Um,
process?
I
I'm not
think,
sure. I
I
definitely
think
liked
he
it
hated
because
it.
like I'll finish vocals and then we'll be like, here's some quick bounces because we've changed this rhythmically and this rhythmically. Could you learn it in 2 days before we go in?
So there was a lot of pressure on Craig then.
Fair play to Craig. Like
Yeah,
he'll be driving down to Milton Keynes. We did it in the Marshall studio. He'll
Yeah.
probably listen to the bounces, being like, like learning as he goes and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he picks it up super quick. He's great.
But that's another reason for having producers involved and not just like, they're not just sitting, press and record and that's it. Dan Weller, knowing how his method is, and he knows what he's done, so what he now needs to do in order to get the best out of Craig, knowing fine well Craig's going down with all of this stuff he's just hearing for the first time. He'll take some songs in parts. He'll say to Craig, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect take because he can like fix things on his end. He can be a producer basically. Not to say any of that is like fake or anything. Like Craig's obviously playing the full thing,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that Dan gets to be a producer. He can even get. I'm sure there was times where Craig was just doing like wild drum fills just to like just. Dan was saying, just go for it, just go for it. And obviously, if you're going for it in the moment, there's going to be skiffs and maybe some things hit that's not right. But from him just going for it and hearing it for the first time, he's coming in with a new perspective. So he's adding something, even if it's not perfect. But that's where the production can fix the imperfections later on. Anyway, the point of the story is, I just think it's such a good way of doing it. If you want to try and like not just record demos at home and then be like, well, that's the song, that's it. What's the point in having a producer then at that point? What's the point in going to like nice studios and things because half of the technology you can buy today you can just do yourself in a room. So yeah, I think
It allows the songs to completely evolve from the moment we start guitars to the moment Craig finishes that last hit on the drums. It just completely changes from the demo, um, in such a fun way. It's just, everyone's chomping at the bits. Where's the masters? Want to hear the bounce? Want to hear the
Yeah.
bounce? It's just you can't wait to just hear what you've just, it's because it's so different from the demo. Um, yeah, so super exciting. Yeah, I can't wait for the album to be out now. It's
Not
just
can I,
yeah.
bro. I was excited before talking to you guys. I'm even more excited now. But looking forward to hearing it. But obviously, yeah, you got going back out on the road as well. You did a couple of teaser shows last year after, like, obviously having that time away while you're recording and writing and bringing everyone into the fold. But how were those teaser shows for you? Unfortunately, I didn't get down. But
Yeah, but they were good, yeah. They were like it was an example of having to like blow the cobwebs away a little bit.
Hmm.
But we had a great time. It was fun. The only thing is that we did maybe that we're going to do differently this time for the tour is putting too many new songs together.
Okay.
Because obviously, we were just excited to play new songs, and then we ended up like on maybe two or three different, well, no, two occasions I think throughout the set there was like three new songs just badged together,
Hmm.
and that obviously causes people to be like, oh, I don't know this one, don't know that one, don't know this one.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of like maybe lack of understanding on our end, maybe a bit naive that we should have played more of the older stuff. So this time around, we're going to do that. But long story short, it was still a fun time. It was nice to be back out doing it. Um, it was more just for us really to like sort of oil the machine again, get used to it. So
no,
yeah, fun.
it was good.
Tom was sick as well
I
though.
was so ill from
Oh,
like
yeah.
for like 10 days before and absolutely losing my mind. Could barely speak. Um, and I was like, hadn't slept in days. Talking to the boys, but like, I think we might just cancel because I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. Um, but managed to like just about pull through, warm my voice up just before the show, and I must have necked about 30 bottles of water on the performance. To be fair, but it was just fun. Like I think I was so nervous about my throat that
Hmm.
everything else just melted away, and I was able to just like completely enjoy it once I was on stage and um, being back in that zone was just so fun for me because it was. I haven't really performed. I mean, it had been 15 years
All
since
right.
I'd been, in a proper venue and stuff. So that there was obviously a little bit of hesitation, being like, can I still do
Okay.
that? Sort of, will I be able to just like switch it on? Because um, unfortunately, it was fun. Such a blast. The Cat House was such a fun gig. Like a lot of space to kind of move about, and I was loving it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Did you feel
we can
that pressure
only
as well as
go on
being
it.
ill though, Tom? Like obviously you were ill, and then you've got, oh well, this is my first run of gigs with Mason Hill. These are my first two shows. That
100%.
yeah,
I'd wanted it to go so perfectly. I was so annoyed when I got sick because I was just like, this has, put practicing so much and getting in shape and stuff. And um, Yeah, there was definitely a bit of pressure. The good thing is that the rehearsals with the old stuff was actually going really well. Like
That's
the,
cool.
the song sounded really nice. Little adjustments on where we play it, in what key we play it, but it was sounding really good. So I was quite confident with that. Obviously, a little bit hesitant on how the crowd would react with hearing it with a different voice because it completely changes the song. But obviously, I'm trying to do it as much justice as possible at the same time. But it seemed to go down well. Like we had quite a good reception and speaking to people after, like it was really nice. Super, super nice fan base. I think Mason Hill have got like one of the best fan bases. They're just so supportive, really, really like G'ing you up and on side and stuff. It was a great it was couldn't have asked for a better crowd to have had the first two shows, especially being sick as well. It was just yeah, completely got rid of that angst, I guess. So yeah, I'm feeling great for tour. I'm really looking forward to it now.
Nice. Well, not long now. I mean, it's next week the tour kicks off, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah.
not
Yeah.
just keep yourself in a locked room, Tom. Don't go out. You'll be fine for
Oh
a
no,
while.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. But for anyone who hasn't clocked, didn't catch those two shows, or even if they did, is anything changed up other than like the set list in terms of what you're doing? Obviously, this time out you got support coming with you on tour for the run of the shows. But yeah, where did you find those guys? By the way, I hadn't heard them until you announced them for the show, and then went check. Sound great.
I think that was just Ian, the booking agent. He must be aware of them and just said, "Hey, there's a band that might suit and are looking for some gigs." That was it really, and we just went, "Oh, yeah, why not?"
Yeah, yeah.
We're really not being too anal and precious on things like this anymore. We're just wanting to play. So there's a lot of things we do differently these days. It's just simple and seamless. But no, apart from that, the only other difference I suppose is we've figured out a bunch of sound things to try and make the sound a bit better live. We've got a brand new live guy coming with us, a live engineer.
Nice.
We always had someone we took before called Will, but he's just not available,
Mm.
which is quite sad in a way because it probably looks like we've fired him. Because when I was saying about like the first two gigs not sounding great or whatever,
Yeah.
or having some sound issues, people, if anyone's coming back that saw us at those two gigs, they're maybe going to be, oh, they must have sacked their old guy. But no, it's not the case. He's just busy. So we've got someone new come with us. So hopefully he does a good job. And then really just the case of carefully constructing the set so that we're not playing too many new songs that people don't know. Um, it's helped with the fact Twisted came out in February because that allows for a song that people can at least look up on Spotify
Yeah.
so that we can say, right, there's two new songs that people know of, and if they've not heard it, they at least can on Spotify. So that's helped just really sort of separate things. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else. Just, I
It's,
suppose, making sure Tom dresses well when he brings his massive giant suitcase of different clothes that he's apparently bringing.
hey, you got to look good for the performance, right? It's
Front
part of
man. It's front
the
man's prerogative, Tom.
exactly. So no, it's good. It's a longer set. It's a more um, strategically curated set. It flows very nicely between old and new. Um, and yeah, got some cool stuff in there as well. A couple of surprise stuff. So yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I'm
That'd be
looking
good.
forward to seeing you boys next week because I'm coming down to the London show. So I'm looking
Nice
forward
one.
to catching up with you guys. It's been too long since we, like you say, James, saw each other up and down the country, mate. And Tom, it'd be nice to meet you properly, mate. So yeah, looking forward to it. But other than the
Yeah, it'd be
album
good.
itself, what does the rest of the year hang out for you guys? What's any other plans?
I think, sorry, Tom, go on.
No, go for it. I was just going to say, apart from Takedown, we're doing Steelhouse
Oh yeah.
Festival. Another one which I'm not sure has been announced yet.
If you're not sure it's been announced, don't say.
I think for us, the it's been nothing but full on focus on having the recordings done, and now we'll need to start building assets that go with them, like figuring out what singles will be singles and what won't be, because in this day and age, oh, because it's not a single, you can't, you can still do things for it on the likes of TikToks and whatnot these days. So for us, I think we just need to now establish where our audience is, because obviously, as you've said at the start of the call, there is a big difference still. Yes, the DNA is still there from the original band, but there is still a difference, and not everyone's going to like it. We've thankfully had a lot of people stick with it, and they're enjoying it, which is great. But we are still going to need to treat it almost like a new band and find where our audience is. So this year is mostly about that. Just getting to the point where we can put an album out, new songs, and then find out who's digging it, where it's being enjoyed, and then really building ourselves up so that, you know, even like this tour, we've done tours before, but it's the first one after so many years, and also the first one with Tom. So we're having to figure out and get ourselves good enough to find ourselves on established maybe support tours or festivals or whatever it may be. We've got a lot of work to do, just get ourselves ready for that. So I think our ambitions are to just keep doing what we're doing this year, get to the point everybody hears the stuff, and then into 2027 start thinking about just gigging relentlessly.
Sounds like the way to go, man. Like you say, it's a new chapter, as we said before, mate. So that all makes sense. But thanks for your time, boys. Thanks for chatting to us. We're gonna bookend this interview on the radio by playing Remember and everything else. So we'll play both tracks for you, either side of the thing.
Nice one, Lee.
Give
Really
people
appreciate that, mate.
Thanks
It's
very
a pleasure.
much.
no worries. Give people a couple of chances at least if they haven't heard it already, then they haven't listened to the show before this week. So they're doing something wrong either way. But we'll keep blasting out, and I'll see you boys next week.
Appreciate
Looking
it.
forward to seeing you for sure.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, pal. Take it easy.
Take care, guys.